Alright, so for today's Speed Duels deck video, we'll be looking at the new Dinosaur deck that comes in the structure deck. To start off with, we have the Dinosaur Kingdom skill. I think for this deck in particular, this is actually a really good skill. It allows you to just gain 300 attack and defense, which is, some people say it's kind of underrated, just these field cards that double as skills. But I think that 300 attack and defense is actually pretty huge in a lot of circumstances, especially with some of these dinosaurs that can start to get you to 2k or even a little bit above 2k for some circumstances. So I think this is a good starting point to start off with the Dinosaur Kingdom skill. And in conjunction with that, we're going to start off with having 3 of the two-headed King Rex cards. And these just add 3 normal dinosaur monsters, 1600. If you combine it with the Dinosaur Kingdom, you're already at 1900. So that's a pretty decent monster to have on the field. And actually, the Crawling Dragon number 2 has the same stats, 16 and 12, which again puts it at 19 and 15 when you combine it with the Dinosaur Kingdom. And then we have 3 more normal dinosaur monsters, the Cabuzalis, and that's a 17-15. So this card is definitely the best normal monster that we have. It's going to be 2k and 18 when you have the field card. And to be honest, just dropping a 2k monster just on the field is just a lot to get over for one turn. Usually monsters are able to get up to the high teens, maybe 18 or 19 right off the bat. So having a 2k is sometimes just enough to kind of hold off any attacks and kind of make more of a board presence. So that's what this deck really is. You can see we have 9 normal monsters combined with this Dinosaur Kingdom. Basically, there's a really good chance you're going to draw 1 or 2 of these guys on your first turn. And the whole idea is just to kind of create this board presence of all of these normal monsters. And you can combine that with the fact that we're going to be playing 3 Heat Wave, because this doesn't let either person for pretty much like 1 turn. Well, I guess technically 2 turns. So you would play this at the start of your main phase, and you or your opponent for those 2 turns can't summon any effect monsters. So what that really does is basically you drop like roughly 2k normal monster on the field, and then you stop your opponent from playing any effect monsters. So the only way that they're really going to be able to kill your monster is if they have some sort of equip. There's no just vanilla normal monster that's going to have 2k attack that's really going to be able to compete with your dinosaur monster on the field. So once you have that, basically the second turn, you're going to be able to summon probably another normal monster, and again have somewhere around 19 or 2k attack, and who knows, you might even be able to play a second Heat Wave to block them out for a second turn. And so at this point, you're going to have about 2 vanilla monsters on the field, and that combines really well with this Order to Charge. So we're going to be playing 3 of these, and what that does is it lets you just tribute a normal monster, and you can pop any monster on the field that your opponent controls. So it works just really well because you're able to get this presence of normal monsters on the field, and then just at a moment's notice pretty much just pop it and pop your opponent's monster. So if you have even just 1 monster, you can stop an attack by popping your own monster and popping their monster, and then kind of save yourself and kind of regroup for next turn. But it works really well if you have actually 2 normal monsters on the field. You can pop 1 and then just go for a direct attack. So it's really good in a lot of scenarios, and a lot of times it's just unbelievably powerful, because if you're going up against a deck that has like boss monsters like Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, Serpent Knight Dragon, any Blue Eyes or Red Eyes or Tyrant Dragon, that you can just, or even that King of Skull Servants, you can just pop their monster, and it really starts to cripple the deck really fast because they spend so much resources getting that out, where your resources are so little. I mean, you're just putting out just these vanilla monsters every turn just as like kind of like beaters and just kind of as like a line of defense at the same time. So it kind of starts to slow down the game for your opponent, and they really can't do much. And the next card that I think we should definitely have in this deck is Kunai with Chain. It's another card where basically you can just stop your opponent from attacking for a turn. If they only have one monster, you can just switch that to defense mode, and then you gain 500. So all of a sudden, it's just you're slowing down your opponent and not really letting them play too much, but you're just keeping this pressure of having like 2K monsters on the field, and they really can't do much. And at a moment's notice, they know that if they summon a strong monster, you can just pop it with Order to Charge. So it's just this really tough pressure where their monsters, like these dinosaurs, really don't go away too much. And it's good to have just a lot of back row also to kind of support them. So the next card that I think is probably pretty vital to this deck is Super Ancient Dino Beast. So I'll throw 2 of them in there because I think that being able to just attribute 1 dinosaur for this guy is, again, it's in that same vein of just having 1 normal dino monster on the field can do so much. It creates a 2,000 point buffer between your opponent and your life points. It lets you Order to Charge and just pop it and pop their monster. Or it lets you get this guy out, assuming you didn't play a Heat Wave. That's the only discrepancy here, is that you don't want to play Heat Wave with this guy because that won't work too well. But if you played it last turn, it stops your opponent from playing any effect monsters. Then once Heat Wave stops being in effect, you can just play this card, and it's 2,700. So with the Dinosaur Kingdom, you're at 3K. So I mean, you can crash into a Blue Eyes if you really want to, or you can say you have this guy and another monster on the field, pop the other one, and then just attack straight for 3K with this guy. So it's definitely good. It's definitely very powerful. I mean, at 3,000, it's just the defense is a little weak. So if you get put in defense mode by a Windstorm, a Sphere, a Kunai, it's probably not going to hold up too well. You'll be at 1,700 defense with the skill card, but it's not too hard to get another one back out. You can basically just tribute any dino monster, including this one, and yeah, it's just really good just to throw on the field, and it really changes the dynamic of the game so quickly, where you just all of a sudden you have like a couple 2K monsters, and now you come out with a 3K. So I think that's really good. So that's the deck. I think that's as far as I can tell. I haven't done too much testing, but I think this is a good start. If you guys have any suggestions, definitely let me know, because it's a new deck, and I think there hasn't been a lot of like reported matches, so it's hard to tell how this deck stacks up against all different kinds of other decks. But like I said, I think when it comes to boss monsters and anything that is just a huge monster, it's just so easy just to pop using Order to Charge, and there you go. You can just run over them with Super Ancient Dino Beast. So I think that's really what the deck really has to offer, is it's just like this constant pressure, and it's just hard right out of the gate to really get over it, and you kind of get the ball rolling in your favor for the first few turns, and then it's just you end it right there. So yeah. So in terms of the side deck, I think lately I've been really liking this D-Spell. I think it's just really good to have a D-Spell on the side deck, because if your opponent is playing any sort of field cards, it's just really good just to be able to put back out there and just take out their field card, or if they have any continuous traps, continuous spell cards. I mean, it's just really helpful. I mean, you can just play it right from the hand, and then there you go. It just kind of changes the dynamic again. I mean, where if they think that they have the advantage with this continuous card, you just pop it, because a lot of cards, there's a lot of trap cards that have removal, like Dust Tornado or Wild Tornado, and it's just not something that your opponent always expects, is that like you can just immediately remove one of their field cards or spell cards. So it's always good just to have. It is situational, but I think a lot of decks do play continuous spell cards or field spell cards, and it's just great to pop. So that's another thing you have to watch out, though, because Dinosaur Kingdom is just a field spell, so you don't want it to get popped by that. But other than that, I mean, you still do have a lot of other defenses, even if your Dinosaur Kingdom does go. So Next, I think Dust Tornado is another good one, where if you just need to put a little more pressure on their back row, you can throw these in there. I would probably switch out maybe a few kunai for these guys. You could switch out a couple vanilla, just normal monsters, but I think switching out a couple kunai is probably okay. Maybe one super ancient dino beast if you think that isn't too helpful, because two could get a little bricky if you happen to draw both of them. That doesn't really do you too much, but it's not the worst draw. You can definitely just 2 turns in a row, hopefully, summon that guy out. But I don't know. It's hard to say how it always plays out. But I think it's not out of the realm of possibilities to get that guy out twice. So that's why I play 2. I might be able to drop it to 1, but like I said, Dust Tornado is it's good just to have just your classic spell trap removal. But I don't think I should main it with this deck. I think there's a lot of other good cards, as you can see here, that work pretty well. And finally, just because it hits a lot of things, ready for intercepting. I think this will hit Relinquish. This will hit any sort of spellcaster deck. This will hit Blue Eyes by hitting Lord D. It'll hit Amazonas, and that's the bulk of like the tier 2 and tier 3 right now, I would say. So if you just want to not have a hard time with those decks, if you throw these in there, usually you'll get the win. I mean, if you're able to flip Lord V face down, you pretty much won. If you are able to flip Relinquish face down, again, you pretty much won. So that's just, they're just invaluable in that case, but I know they don't apply to every deck. So I think it is, again, situational. But anyway, so this is my dinosaur deck, and let me know if you guys have any other builds that, you would like to compare. I'm always looking for any sort of suggestions or comments. So just let me know down in the description, and yeah, keep on the lookout for more deck profiles. Until next time.